Hello, 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 hello. How are you? This is Els coming to you from Bemis Crafty Corner, and this is another project for the hashtag 12 Weeks of Christmas 2022 that is being sponsored by B&D Crafts and More and Kelly's Creative Dreams. So today we're just going to do a quick card, okay? But we're going to do a card that's a little bit different. Way back in the day, in the Victorian era, cards were, well, Christmas cards looked more like something you'd think you'd get for Halloween. And so we are going to be doing Edwardian. Edwardian is when they first started kind of coming out with fun cards. And so some of the images are like way over the top. Ridiculous, okay? So we're going to start, we want these to look old. So I'm going to be using some 110 pound cardstock that's been tea dyed. And we're just going to cut some bases down. So let me grab my cutter. And cutting a card base, if you've never done it, is very easy. You just take an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper and cut it in half. Okay? That's going to give you two bases. And I'm going to show you two ways to fold these. Not necessarily traditional Edwardian, but fun nonetheless. Let's do three, shall we? We'll do three. So we'll take one piece of 8.5 by 11 and we'll cut it in half at 4 1/4. So this is going to give us three different styles of cards. Now I have a selection of actual images of Edwardian cards. Okay, so we're going to cut some of these down. And I'm going to be, I'll do that off camera. And once we get these cut down, we'll cut some mats. But let's deal with this part first. So to do this, we're going to get out a scoreboard and our scoring tool. Easy peasy part. So for these long ones that are 4 1/4, we're just going to score them at 5.5. Okay? Do this gently, please. Just 3 or 4 gentle passes is all you need. You do not need to dig into this, okay? Nice and easy. So we're going to do those at 5.5, which for most of these scoreboards is the last one over for these little ones. And then we're going to use these that are cut at 5.5 by 8.5. We're going to score these at 4 1/4. Keeping this easy. So we're going to do 2 that way. And then we're going to do this one. We're going to do this one at 4 1/4. And then we're going to do it at 2 1/8. And that is 1 notch past the 2, between the 2 and the 2 1/4 mark. We're going to do it right there. Okay? And then we're going to turn it over and we're going to score that line again. So the first one's going to be at 4 1/4. Two and 1/8. Turn it over. And score that 2 1/8 again. So you have 1 score line, 2 score lines. And you'll have 2 that are like that. 2 that have a score line down the middle. And then 2 tall ones with a score line down the middle. And we're going to fold our bases. Now, here's the thing. When you fold a base, whenever you fold anything you've scored, try to keep this in mind. Wherever there's a valley, turn it into a hill. Wherever there's a hill, turn it into a valley. So here, we went down the card, so now we've created a valley. So we're going to turn that into a hill. Line up our corners, fold it up, and hit it with the bone folder. Okay? Same thing here. We have a valley. We're going to turn it into a hill. Now, because I'm using tea-dyed cardstock, it can have some shrinkage in the paper because it is a fiber. So I may have to trim these a little bit, and I'm okay with that. And then we're going to come to these ones that we have the 2 scores on. And we're going to do these in a Z-fold. So we're going to turn the valley into a hill. And then with that fold on our left side, we're going to take the top where we have that other score line, and we're going to fold it back. Okay? So again, I'm going to take my card. I'm going to have my small sections to the left. Okay? I'm going to fold that in half. Press it. And then I have that piece on the top that has that double section, and I'm just going to press that back. Okay? So I'm creating a Z-fold. All right? So those are our bases. We're going to go ahead and put these to the side. We'll go and we'll cut our images out, and then I'll be right back. Okay. So I have all my images cut out, and I'm just going to go ahead and give them a quick ink. Now, to make these a little bit more texturally authentic, I went ahead and printed mine on felt paper, which is just a finish. You know, it just feels like felt. So I went ahead and printed on that. And it takes the color nicely, and it doesn't blur. And it gives these very vintage looking images that have, you know, some texture to them. So, I'm not going to sit here and make you watch me ink things. What I am going to do is tell you that at this point we're going to go ahead and start matting these cards. And I'm going to recommend that you use 65-pound cardstock for your mats. So, we're going to get out some colors that work with our images, and we're going to start cutting some mats. I'm going to get out some colors, and I'll be right back. You probably thought I was going to get out red and green cardstock, and I do have some green and I do have some red, but they're not the traditional Christmas red or green. We also have brown, and we have like this kind of pale blue. These were all very popular colors in the Edwardian era as far as cards and print and things, because these were, you know, they didn't have as many colors as we have today. So typically the same colors that they used to make wallpaper would have been the colors that they had. And of course in Edwardian times, green, they didn't realize it, but this was killing everybody back then. So we have some colors. Now some of these are double-sided and they have some like writing and stuff on the back, which is kind of cool, and so I may use that texture, but other ones not so much. The patterns are not so, you know, not so wanty. And I also have another piece of my 110-pound tea-dyed cardstock. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking our images, and we're going to pick the ones that we want, obviously for, you know, each card. And I think that this one would actually lend itself to one of the tall flip top cards. So let's grab one of those. And it looks like we're going to have to cut this down just a hair, and that's okay. So we're going to get out our trimmer, and we're going to just trim some off the top and the bottom here. Little off the top, and a little off the bottom. Let's take a look and see how that looks. That looks fantastic. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure this, which I just cut it, so I know that it's 5 inches by 3 1/4. Okay. 3 3/8. All right, so I'm going to cut a mat for it. So let me take a look at my papers. See which one I like him on. Too much red. Actually like him on the blue. So I'm going to be cutting a mat that is just slightly larger than the image. Okay? So we are at 3 3/8. So we're going to go 3 5/8. Let's take a look. I like it. And then I'm just going to cut kind of that same distance on the other side, okay? And then this, I'm going to have to re-ink because I trimmed my edges. So I'm just going to re-ink, make sure I've got all my edges inked. And then I'm going to adhere this to my mat. Easy peasy. You can use tape, you can use glue, whatever you prefer. And I'm just going to make sure that I have that equal space, top, bottom, left, right. We'll put that down. Then we'll go ahead and put this on the front of our card. And that's the first one. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with all the rest. I'm going to pretty much pick what I want and put them on. But this card's going to be a little bit different. Okay? So we're going to make sure that we have this nice and square. It should measure, excuse me, 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. So we're going to cut a piece of this that is 5 by 4 and that is going to go on the front of this one, okay? And then we're going to be cutting an image to fit on here with a mat. So I'm going to find a nice one here. I think Santa Claus. And I'm going to put him on the brown. So we're going to be creating a three-part mat for this. Now, you don't have to use the solid color. If you want to use this stripe and it doesn't take away from your image, then use it. You know, it's okay. These are in the ideal and style of, not, you know, we're not making replicas here. All right, so we have a 5-inch by 4-inch base. So our mat needs to be 3 3/4 by 4 3/4, and that will get us just inside of our piece. And then our picture needs to be 1/4 inch shorter, that's smaller than this. And I think we're good actually all the way around. I don't think we need to trim this at all. Okay. Get the pin in here before I lose it. All right, so I'm going to use some dry adhesive on this one. I don't know why we call this dry adhesive, you know, because it doesn't really dry. All right, so then we're going to take that, we're going to line it up, press it down, then we're going to put this one on here. Okay, and then our piece is going to fit right on here, giving us that same 1/8 of an inch border. So tape on this flap. And we're just taping down that side, okay? And then when we want to put our sentiment inside, we'll cut a piece of paper that fits underneath here, and we'll attach it here so that this part will cover it. And you can add some decorative paper here if you want, you know, like a strip of color or something, or decorate the back of this. That's totally up to you. But that's the Z, and so we're basically going to do the same thing that we did on this one to all of the other cards. We're just going to create a mat that's 1/4 of an inch larger than the image. That's going to give us 1/8 of an inch all the way around, and then we're going to mount that onto our cards, and I'll be right back to show you where mine came up. Okay? All right, so here they are. These are our Edwardian inspired Christmas cards, and so we'll just walk through them real quick. So this one is backed, and it has a small mat, and then I went ahead and matted this section, and this is a Z fold, so when you open it up, you've got a little piece of paper in here, and the way that that is applied is I simply put the paper behind here, apply my adhesive, and then close the card, and that allows this to hide nicely behind the image. And we have a nice little flip card here, again with another piece. This is newsprint, tea-dyed newsprint that I get from Hag's Hollow, and she does a really nice tea-dyed newsprint, and it makes it look very aged and very Victorian. And then this, of course, is just our side open, and so we have our space here. Now you can type, you know, on these, or you can print on them, handwrite on them, stamp on them, whatever you want to do as far as your sentiments on the inside. And then this, of course, again, is one of our Z folds. And then another flip up. And another side open. And this one, I just staggered the mat to the side just to give it a little bit more of a dimension. So these are my Edwardian inspired Christmas cards. And images for these are very easy to get. I'll put a link in the description box below if you'd like to get a set of these and do this for yourself. That's it. That's all I have for you this week. If you are new here and you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that button for me and subscribe. Like me, ring my bell, share me with all your friends. Then your friends can be my friends, and my friends can be your friends, and our friends can get to be friends. And before you know it, giant crafting community. I go live on Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Sundays. And on Sundays, we play trivia, so come on out and play with us. We do give away prizes, and we're working towards a mano-y-mano, one-on-one final in that's part of my 1,000 subscriber celebration. Also, I have my 12 of 22 journal challenge going on, and if you'd like information on that, just click on the link. And if you want to know what I'm doing, check out the community tab here on my new YouTube channel, or join my Facebook group and check out the featured listings over there. There is a whole bunch of videos and tutorials. I do free classes, and all of that information is listed there. So until I see you again, stay well. Bye-bye.